Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and nothing works. Your phone doesn't turn on, traffic lights are dark, your planes stop mid-flight communication, hospitals lose power, banks freeze, the internet disappears. Electricity has become so normal in our lives that we rarely think about it. But what would actually happen if electricity suddenly stopped working across the entire world for just 24 hours? At first, the impact might seem small. Lights would go out, phones would stop charging, computers would shut down. But within minutes, the consequences would begin spreading across the planet. Modern cities rely entirely on electricity to function. Traffic systems, elevators, subway networks, airports, communication towers, and data centers all depend on continuous power. Without electricity, traffic lights stop working immediately. This would cause massive gridlock in major cities within minutes. Elevators would stop between floors, subway systems would halt inside tunnels, air traffic control systems would lose radar and communication systems. Commercial aircraft can still fly without ground electricity because they generate power internally. However, airports rely heavily on electric systems for landing guidance, communication, and radar. Without those systems, flights would quickly be diverted or grounded. Now consider communication. Most people assume the internet lives inside their phones. But the internet depends on massive data centers, fiber networks, satellite links, and servers that require constant electricity. If electricity stopped globally, internet infrastructure would collapse almost immediately. Cell towers have limited backup batteries that typically last only a few hours. Once those batteries drain, mobile networks disappear. Within hours, billions of people would lose all digital communication. No messaging, no social media, no online banking, no GPS navigation. And that's when the economic impact begins. Modern banking systems depend entirely on electronic networks. Credit card payments would stop working. ATMs would shut down. Stock markets could not operate. Global trade systems would freeze. Financial transactions across the world would pause instantly. But perhaps the most critical systems affected would be hospitals. Hospitals rely heavily on electricity for life support machines, ventilators, surgical equipment, and monitoring systems. Fortunately, most hospitals maintain backup generators specifically for emergencies. These generators can keep essential systems running temporarily. However, if power remains unavailable for extended periods, fuel supplies become a concern. Now let's look at another critical system: water. Most cities use electrically powered pumps to move clean water through pipelines. Without electricity, water pressure gradually drops. This means homes may eventually lose running water. Wastewater treatment plants would also stop functioning properly. Sanitation systems could begin to fail. Food supply chains would also face immediate disruption. Modern supermarkets depend on refrigeration. Without electricity, refrigerators and freezers stop working. According to food safety research, refrigerated food can remain safe for only about 4 hours without power if the doors remain closed. Frozen food may last longer, but eventually it will begin to thaw. Transportation would face major disruptions as well. Gas stations require electricity to pump fuel. Without power, drivers cannot refuel their vehicles. Electric trains, subways, and electric vehicles would stop functioning entirely. Global logistics systems that move food, medicine, and supplies rely heavily on electric infrastructure. But here is something surprising. Some parts of the world might initially function better than others. Rural areas with fewer electric dependencies could continue daily activities more easily. However, large urban centers would face the most severe disruptions. Now consider global navigation systems. GPS satellites themselves would continue operating in space, but the ground systems that transmit and process those signals depend on electricity. This means navigation apps, mapping systems, and location tracking services would become unreliable. Another often overlooked system is the supply chain of fuel itself. Oil refineries rely heavily on electric systems. Pipelines use electric pumps. If electricity disappears globally, fuel production and distribution would slow dramatically. Within 24 hours, many industries would simply pause operations. Factories, manufacturing plants, and industrial facilities would shut down. Automated production lines would stop. Global productivity would drop instantly. But perhaps the most profound effect would be psychological. Modern society is deeply connected through technology. Suddenly losing access to communication, news, and digital information would create widespread uncertainty. People would not know what caused the outage. Rumors could spread quickly, yet despite all these disruptions, something interesting would also happen. The night sky would become dramatically brighter. Cities normally covered by light pollution would suddenly go dark. For the first time in generations, millions of people would be able to see the full stars above them. Astronomers often point out that artificial light hides most of the visible universe from city dwellers. During a global blackout, the Milky Way galaxy could become visible across major cities. But eventually, after 24 hours, electricity returns. Lights flicker back on, networks restart, communication resumes, and society begins restoring systems. The economic cost of even a single day without electricity would be enormous, but the world would recover. However, the event would reveal something important. Modern civilization depends entirely on invisible systems running behind the scenes. Electricity powers nearly every aspect of our daily lives. From communication to water, transportation to healthcare, almost everything depends on a constant flow of energy. And when that flow stops, even for one day, you're reminded how fragile modern infrastructure can be. Because the systems that power our world are not always visible. But without them, everything changes. Follow Unfolded Depth for truths that stay with you.